right up there with the importance of Jada Pinkett Smith. We've also got the importance of commentary from Duncan Garner. I think we should definitely look at that as well. Let's have a look at something that Chloe Swarbrick, Green MP, and also the MP for Auckland Central, has put out there, and the Auckland City Council has got behind. That has then had commentary from Duncan Garner of Today FM, and I'd like for us to have a bit of a squiz at it, a bit of a look over it. So Auckland City Council supports members' bill to end advertising in sport. And I'll read a little bit of this for people who are, well, everyone's watching, but you'll get the gist of it. Auckland Council has voted unanimously to support a private members' bill aiming to ban alcohol companies from advertising in sport. The bill, which was put forward by Chloe Swarbrick, would amend the sale and supply of alcohol to provide more controls around liquor marketing. It wants to reduce young people's exposure to messages encouraging them to drink and remove the link between sport and alcohol. This includes prohibiting all liquor advertising from, in, or around venues and during broadcasts, banning alcohol companies from sponsoring the name of teams or players, and removing the brand names from merchandise, uniforms, and equipments. Now, many will probably think, well, whether we particularly care about advertising with alcohol or not, it seems a logical flow on from banning tobacco sponsorship. I mean, whether you agree or disagree, I think most would at least acknowledge it seems at some stage to be a logical flow on from that. At least I would. I don't know if you guys are the same, but I certainly would.
Yeah.
I want to have a look at commentary made by Duncan Garner yesterday from Today FM, new radio station in New Zealand, setting themselves kind of up as the antithesis to Newstalk ZB. In fact, I've heard from several people that management through there have basically and overtly said if ZB wouldn't touch it, we'll be interested in it. They're trying to make themselves more the kind of everyman station, pulling in people from all sorts of walks of life to be able to get content from them, which I got to say, from someone with 20 years radio experience, sounds really exciting. Whether it will work or not, I don't know. I know that the group that owns Today FM Media Works not that long ago were saying, and I know this because it was said to me, that conservative talk is the way forward. This is not that, but that certainly was the model within talk radio up until this station came out, actually.
Well, it seems like the original premise was that we're not going to be conservative talkback radio, but then, as we're going to see, Duncan Garner is basically doing the old reactionary radio stuff, right?
Well, I mean, what I would say is it's reactionary radio if he doesn't believe it. I mean, I always think about reactionary stuff being people playing a game or, devil's advocate or that kind of thing. If this is Duncan Garner's position, then it's not him being reactionary, it's him offering a position. Now, that's always the difference. Like I used to say, I didn't do controversial talk when I did talkback, but that doesn't mean my talk didn't create controversy. There's a difference. I think doing it to be controversial is different from doing something that was controversial. So yeah. I don't know whether he's being reactionary or whether the subject matter just is. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, I should have used a different word because I mean reactionary in terms of being conservative, right? In terms of in terms of reacting negatively to any idea, right? In terms of conservatism as opposed to progressivism.
And I guess there is, when you talk about reacting to any idea, I think about whataboutisms.
Exactly.
You do get the vibe in this of whataboutisms, and we'll pause as we're doing this to show you. But a whataboutism is basically someone going, well, why are we going to do that? I mean, what about this? Basically, it's a way to go, I want to put up a contrarian opinion about something else by mentioning another thing that should also be sorted out. And if you don't sort out the other thing, then what's the point in sorting out this?
That's the classic one.
Yeah, whataboutism it's called. Right, let's have a bit of a listen, show. This is Duncan Garner yesterday on his 9 till midday show on Today FM, 96.6 in Dunedin. You talking specifically about the Chloe Swarbrick proposal, I guess, bill, supported by the council.
Sticky Beaks, Auckland Council, goes where the council has never been before. They have voted for and supported.
I'm going to pause already. Goes where the council has never been before. is what Duncan Garner saying is we cannot go places the council hasn't been before. I'll just refer back to banning of tobacco sales. At one point, that was going to where a group had never been before. Just a point.
Supported an MP's private members bill for the first time. This is Chloe Swarbrick, the Green MP. Her half-baked idea to ban alcohol companies advertising in sport. So no booze company signage at venues. No sponsorship of equipment or gear, nothing. A blanket ban. It all involves sport. This is what she wants. 100% socially responsible. In the ideal world, perfect. Absolutely perfect. 100% dumb, in my view. It is 100% social engineering, isn't it? 100% anti-business, and I think it would have a detrimental effect on kids in sport.
So there's the conservative talking points. We hear a lot in American sport. American conversation about talking points. Those are the talking points. Those are the talking points that this is a left-wing politician, so therefore this is social engineering and it's anti-business. Is it? And what I always say to these sorts of commentaries is, where is your evidence? And as we go through this, there'll be 3 other points, I think, where I go, where is the evidence of that? So anything to you guys to add before we go on?
Oh, everything's social engineering. Everything.
Yeah. If I don't agree with it, it's social engineering. All right, let's keep going.
What do we need right now? We need kids playing sport. Let's get out there. If we could start the competitions this weekend, just go for it. We've all been at home for far too long and come up with ideas like this. What's the council doing? And what are they thinking?
I do. Sorry, boss. I do like the tone. It's so, what are they doing?
Won't someone think of the children? The children.
This does sort of, yeah. It's sort of like he's workshopping. He's like trying to figure out if the scripted monologue is where he wants to go, or if you have the scripted monologue but you try and make it sound like it's off the cuff, like that tension that you sometimes have. Like there's a style on YouTube, sometimes narrators will purposely put in a pause so it doesn't sound scripted, but then it sounds like a scripted pause or a scripted
Let me also just say here, I just think we see the same thing at the same time. I think that I'm not about beating up on this media outlet, Today FM. I'm actually quite excited about what they could do. This is specifically a commentary on us commenting on this one person's opinion piece. Now, if tomorrow Duncan does the world's most amazing opinion piece, we will highlight that as well. It's like this is nothing but a commentary on something that I think we're all in agreement, because I brought this to the table this morning, is utterly ridiculous and missing the mark on so many ways. And when we get to the end of this, you'll see. So if you're with us, don't turn off, because you'll see when we get to the end how ridiculous this is. Let's keep going.
Chloe Swarbrick doesn't live in the real world. And the council, when they're run, seem to be doing the right thing.
She lives in the metaverse. Just in case anyone's wondering, it's not the real world.
Has gone where no council ever has gone before. That is to support a private member's bill. Is it even for them to support and vote on? No, it's not. It's for the parliament. Firstly, if they think this will promote healthy and better kids, get real.
But hang on. Is that what they're saying? Are we wanting to remove harm, which means we're promoting healthy and better kids, or are we just removing harm? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he jumping? Is it just me, or is he jumping a little bit there to saying, if you're going to remove this, you must also have a direct path to healthy and better kids immediately? I mean,
he's linking it to kids. It's literally, why won't someone think of the children?
Yeah.
But this isn't about the children. It's alcohol related harm in its entirety.
Yeah.
New Zealand's drinking culture is atrocious, and it's always been linked to sport.
But I think I think whether you agree or disagree with the policy idea, I think Chloe Swarbrick, who's coming on tomorrow, by the way, would probably say we are thinking of the children. That's actually what we're doing. We're trying to remove the connection between alcohol and sport for the children. So we'll get that tomorrow. So join us tomorrow for that.
They're more likely to be influenced by their father at home having a beer on his knee in the afternoon than line red being on the back of the shorts or rugby jerseys.
True, but there's your first example about whataboutism. If dad at home's not going to stop drinking beer, then we might as well. What about dad? What about dad at home drinking beer? It's not going to make any difference. It's true. More influence from the parents, I agree with them, but that's your first example of whataboutism.
But has dad been influenced?
Sponsorship, to ban alcohol from sports sponsorship, is not well thought through, in my view.
Much like this monologue.
And who's coming to the party otherwise? Who's lining up to sponsor these club rugby teams, club netball teams, club sports teams, kids sport? Who's there?
So the reason that alcohol groups sponsor these sporting teams and stuff is because it's a good sponsorship deal. Now, Duncan's posing a question that has no answer, but he's doing it in a kind of fear and loathing kind of way. Because what he's saying is there's no one else to do this. Now, if this is worthwhile for these companies to do, then it's worthwhile for other companies to do as well. And let's not get this twisted. Companies who have boards and shareholders are not altruistic because they have an absolute duty to create profit for their shareholders and for their, for their company overall. They're by law, they need to do it. So a decision is made not altruistically, but on a financial basis. And if we're saying that these companies are getting nothing for this, therefore they're giving their money away with no expectations, that's where we're getting to the point of this is sort of a ludicrous thing that's being said.
Which businesses are willing to take over? I accept booze and sport are too often linked, but this is primarily discriminatory against sport. It targets
discriminatory.
Sport. What about leaflets that come in your
whataboutisms
mailbox?
Here we go.
Oh, they're okay. What do you mean they're okay? Oh, this is targeting sport only. Billboards on the side of the motorway, fine. The kids can see those, but just not have it on the back of sports jerseys.
Yeah.
Or at the sports ground.
Yeah, where their heroes are wearing
I
them.
think this will decimate some sports and will leave everybody worse off. It discriminates against sport, and sport's crucial. It's so narrow-minded, and there's no guarantee it would work anyway. Do you think it would work? 0800 863 293. And are you worried about booze in sport? Here's an idea. And this can be blamed right at the feet of the council. Don't allow liquor shops within 1K of a school.
Good idea.
For as long as booze shops...
this is hand up.
Yep.
Cool. I'm down. All right. Now, if he's doing another whataboutism, like, well, if the liquor shops are so let's not worry, then that to me is what he's doing another what. But I'm down. Okay, cool. I'm on board. So Duncan Garner's hopefully going to be the front person for that. Awesome.
I love it when they stumble onto a good point.
You can't go banning booze companies from supporting sport. You just can't. The council, especially in Auckland, has rubber-stamped the rise of the booze shops in Auckland. In the Onehunga ward alone, 108 on and off licenses exist. 108.
We're going to skip forward, I think, a bit here, guys, just to get to the end of it.
And across the road from school. Kids don't feel like drinking booze because they're at a club engineering. Pass and cycleways and stay away from this misguided social engineering.
Oh, we got into the cycleways as well.
Drinking booze because they're at a club rugby game and TUI signages on the post or at the end of the field.
So this is the bit that it's going to get into the conversation we'll have after it. Duncan Garner is saying the advertising doesn't work. He's saying if there's a TUI billboard, there's a TUI billboard on the side, it's not influencing the kids at all. So he's saying this advertising doesn't work. He's saying the money that TUI is putting into that club, the money that TUI is putting into there doesn't work. Now, we'll get to the obvious point shortly. Remember where Duncan Garner is right now. He's working for a commercial radio station, and he started to say advertising doesn't work.
They want to meet pie and lollies. They do. They want to meet pie and lollies. That's why I take $5 notes to the games. If they'll take a 20, they'll never give you the change. This will decimate sport at all levels. It would mean no Heineken Open in Auckland.
Okay, so there's the other thing. Who says? So that's a statement that's just made, that Duncan Garner's just made, that goes, this is the end of that professional tennis. Why? Who says that? There's no evidence for that, Mr. Garner. Show me your evidence.
See, the Heineken Open. You rush to the Heineken Open to drink Heineken or to watch tennis. Yet all this is happening. So this is actually really happening. This council has voted for this. Parliament has to vote for it, of course. But all this happens as we watch the rise and rise of vape shops on every corner. 3 of them in one block of shops in Dominion Road alone.
Whataboutism?
Oh, the vapes, they're good for teenagers. Chloe Swarbrick's thinking, I think, is madness. And it doesn't make a sense. Here's why.
And we don't have the next part of that conversation, but I'll tell you what he went on to say. And it's interesting that it's been cut off, right? Because what he went on to say, because they've got his script up right here. He says, here's why. Dun, 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 dun.
I love that it's a Q&A.
Yep. Question. For example, question. This is what Duncan Garner said. Question. Ever rushed off to Maccas because someone mentioned Starships Ronald McDonald house? Exactly. Never. This one here is a very important one. Does watching the Sky City Breakers make you gamble? Never. Not once. Okay. The last one is, okay, we haven't done this yet with you, Chewy. All right. So I'll ask you the question. What's the beer that's been associated with the All Blacks for the past 30 years?
Steinlager.
Yeah. So we all know. No one went, I couldn't remember. Do you know why? Because sponsorship works and advertising works. But what? Hey. Well, let me get this clear. Let me get this point. This is a really important point. Does watching the Sky City Breakers make you gamble? He says never, not once. What he's saying is advertising doesn't work. What Duncan Garner is saying, as he works for a brand new commercial radio station, is advertisers out there, the money you guys are spending is not going to influence the people who are listening to this show. Why do you think Sky City sponsors the Breakers? Because they want to see a return for it. They want people to associate Sky City Casino, Sky City Restaurants, Sky City Hotel with that professional sporting outfit. If I wonder if the end of that commentary had been cut off because someone in management realized, hang on, if we say that Sky City that person to do it. Have you got some more there, George? Oh, that's me. Did you grab my page or did I grab my page? I haven't touched anything.
No, I didn't do anything either. My thing went a bit funny though.
Crazy. So listen, let me just say that again. Duncan Garner is overtly saying Sky City is wasting their money sponsoring the Breakers because they will get no return on it. And my question is, what about all the advertisers on Today FM? If Duncan Garner is saying that sponsoring products doesn't make people want more of those products, advertising doesn't influence people into getting that advert, he's working for a commercial radio station. His salary is paid by advertisers paying for advertising on his show and others, trying to influence the audience to buy or use their products. Chewy, go.
I was just going to say his understanding of how advertising influences people is completely out of whack as well. Nobody rushes out. Oh, I've just heard an ad about McDonald's. I better go get a burger. It's a soft little nudge. It's a reminder that this business exists. This is one of your choices that you have. I just like yourself, Pat. I've worked in radio advertising. The idea of repetition is king. You know, it takes 3 or 4 mentions for a business or a product to sink into someone's mind. If you're watching a rugby game for an hour and you're constantly seeing those billboards, that soft nudge of like, hey, you're enjoying this and it's associated with our product, maybe you'll enjoy our product as well. That's why it's worked. There's a reason that we banned tobacco advertising with sport so many years ago. It's the same thing. We know this product is harmful.
Hang on. If advertising doesn't work and if Sky City Breakers doesn't influence anyone to gamble, then surely Duncan's logical conclusion would be we should definitely bring back the Winfield Cup for rugby league. We should definitely put tobacco back into advertising because he's saying, and I'm not even inferring what he's saying, he's literally saying the people who watch the Sky City Breakers are not influenced to go to Sky City and gamble. Therefore, the people who are watching the Winfield Cup are not going to be influenced to pick up a cigarette. So therefore, Duncan is saying either one of two things. Advertising doesn't work or any advertising should be allowed. They're the only two logical conclusions. And both of those conclusions, while you're working for a brand new commercial radio station, I think are potentially slightly problematic.
It's hilarious to scream social bloody engineering when why he is gripping so hard to this idea of alcohol in sports is because of decades and decades of advertising agencies building that connection, building that cultural connection between sport, whatever sport it may be, and ciggies and booze.
I don't know if he's got a particular sponsor for his show, but if he did have a sponsor for his show, I wonder how they would feel hearing him say this massive sponsorship deal that the Breakers have will not influence people to go to Sky City. And as you said, Chewy, how marketing works, it's repetition. So it's not necessarily you walk out the door of the Sky City Breakers game and head off to the casino. It's, oh, hun, I feel like going out for dinner tonight. Where should we go? Hey, I've heard that Sky City has got some amazing restaurants. Why don't we go there? Oh, yeah, okay. Or it's a stag do and going, what should we do? Hey, I've always wanted to go to the casino. I mean, we'll take $20 and we'll lose it, or it'll just be a night out. You know, I think perhaps what you've seen is disingenuous talkback setups at their finest. And I would say, I know something about them, because I actually, if I was to put my hat in a particular court, he doesn't believe what he's saying. And if you don't believe what you're saying, you don't get authentic conversations. And if you don't get authentic conversations, you're playing a role. And if you're playing a role, it's the worst kind of radio.